Thanks for joining me in having another cup and discussing how time is ours. So I've talked on several immediately previous messages, so please go back and listen to the last couple of Another Cup messages, because I talk a lot about time, the way we use it, the way we waste it. But I wanted to go further today on this idea that no matter what we see time as, it is ours to control. And that being the case, we can make it whatever we want it to be. But how many times are we instead a victim of it? That our perception of time actually creates pressure or can create motivation. But it's all in how we see it. So it's not so much controlling actual time, which is impossible. But it is, the moniker of time management is really not managing time. It's managing what we do with the time we have. And we all have the same amount of time. We've all heard the number of hours in a week. And if you split that up and you break that down, we in actuality, logically, analytically, have more time than we think we have. And yet there's this pressure, isn't there? That time is passing. And if I don't take advantage of this moment, then it's wasted. I don't think any moment of time is wasted if we actually approach it in the right way. You've heard the phrase before, you never lose, you only learn. Or that there's no ordinary moments. All of this leads to the idea that as time passes, there's always something happening. And it's up to us what we focus on. And if we choose not to focus on something, that should not build up pressure or make us feel wrong for it. Because that is completely our own. And that's where the idea of time is ours comes from. But there's always a little bit of pressure or directive or mandate that in many cases we do have to serve others, not just ourselves. And obviously that requires time, whether it's time you invest in your work, time you invest in friendships, and family, and loved ones. Certainly, we don't look at those things as a waste of time. So what I encourage you to do is to never think about wasting time. You can invest in time. Obviously, that's how the idea of compounding works. If you invest some money now, time is on your side by compounding the return that you'll see from it. And in terms of effort and work, and our activities, that's called significance. That's where the things that we do today, we will thank ourselves for tomorrow. Where there's some significance to what we do that impacts more than just this moment or just this day. And the more of those that we can do, the more we should. And you'll see how that works. And I've done messages about this before too. That really there's urgent activities, there's meaningful activities, and then there's significant activities. And just to review that for a moment, the urgent are typically what's put on us and maybe very quick, very urgent, but very temporary. May not have a lasting impact on anything other than getting it done now. And those are naturally a certain part of our activity, a part of our life and a part of our work. Meaningful activities are the ones that we choose, that we put our time, our energy, and our focus into. And that's where meaning comes from in life, that we are devoting ourselves to something that means something more to us than probably anyone else. So we put ourselves into it. Beyond even meaning, which can still be a temporary or daily activity that doesn't necessarily spread across time, significant activities are the ones that save us time in the future, save us effort in the future, or produce a result over time. And so as we think about how we control our attitude towards time, we can break our activities into these three levels. And think about what happens over the course of a week. Let's just take a week as an example. If all my activities are urgent, then I'm caught up and to me, time is moving very, very quickly because there's always a deadline. There's always something I have to get done now. And then I move on to the next thing to be done now, and then the next thing to be done now. Never really looking up. And that's okay, because there are going to be days and weeks when that is how we work completely. Just because there's a crisis or there's other external factors, or it's just the nature of our work. I mean, if you work in an emergency room, you can imagine that's how you work most of the time. But that's also why they only work so many shifts a week, because working that way constantly is really not productive, healthy, or good for us. Now, the meaningful activities, how many of those? Sometimes you probably feel like you're chasing a lot of things that other people want you to do. But I suggest, and I've talked about this in previous messages, how do you put meaning into your day? Find something that means something more to you and do at least one of those things each day. For me, it might be meditation or reading or exercise or writing. And that's important for you to have a little bit of that, because what that does, those meaningful activities, balance out the urgent. They put us on balance for how we're investing our time, energy, and attention. And then finally, there's the significant activities. These are the big ones. These are the ones that really move mountains. And you can't move a mountain overnight. But what you can do is start chipping away at that mountain, or working on moving the bigger things in your life little by little. And that's the significant activities. And the more of those you can have, and again, this is that delayed gratification, right? These are the activities where we just don't see the reward right away. And we may not for a while, but if we don't take that action now, then we will never see it. It's important for us to understand there are steps and a process to most big things that we want to accomplish. And those are the significant things in life. So you should have a balance. Now, what does that balance look like? I'll talk in a future message about how to balance your week and the different types of activities in your work, for example, that are urgent, that are meaningful, and that are significant. But for now, just realize that decision resides with you. And the only reason that I'm helping you to separate these activities is because the impact on time is profoundly different for each of these. So please understand that, and at a base level, know that you have complete control over what you do with your activities and how those things psychologically impact how we perceive time. But in any case, no matter what you do with your time, it is yours. And I thank you for giving just a little bit of that to me today. Thanks for joining me in Having Another Cup, discussing how time is ours.